Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is Navneet, and welcome to Coffee and Cloud with Navneet Shukla. In this demo, we are going to learn about Redshift, Amazon Redshift data sharing. So let's get started. Let me close my presentation here. So Redshift data sharing, we can start with learning what the Redshift data sharing is. Then we can move forward with the demo, right? So Redshift data sharing, if allow you to share the data between two different Redshift clusters. Okay, so you able to perform the Redshift data sharing between two different Redshift cluster within AWS same AWS account. You're able to perform the Redshift data sharing within the two different Redshift cluster within the different AWS account. You're able to perform the Redshift data sharing between two Redshift cluster on the same region. You're able to perform the Redshift data sharing within the two Redshift cluster on a different region, right? So it support cross region, it support cross account. So this way you're able to perform Redshift data sharing in a multiple ways. So why it is important, right? So even before going like how it, let's understand how it works. So this is the Redshift official page, as it's mentioned, right? It allow you to move the data between multiple Redshift clusters, and very important thing is it has no additional cost. So you are not paying any additional cost to use this Redshift data sharing feature, right? So let's understand how it works. So this feature is being announced in RA3 node type. So if you do not know, RA3 is a new instance type. It's not that new anymore, but it's an instance type which allow you to decouple your storage and compute. So when I say decoupling of storage and compute means is you can have as much as of data being stored in a Redshift cluster without being worried about how much compute power you need. So if you have to draw a comparison, like, or if you have to think like how it is different than other data warehousing concept where the storage and compute are tightly coupled. Just think of like, okay, if you're working on a SQL server, or earlier when I used to work as a SQL Server DB, so I have if I'm running my SQL Server in let's say 8 GB core and 32 GB RAM, and I have 1 TB of data being stored there. And now if I'm looking to have a 2 TB data or 3 TB data, so I have to increase the storage, right? But when I have to increase the storage, I don't have just an option just to add or keep adding the storage without being increasing the compute power. So I have to increase the compute power. And this is how it used to be with the Redshift as well before RA3. So if you are a Redshift user or Redshift if you were using Redshift in past, and if you had a DC2 or DS2, which is DC stand for dense dense compute, and DS instead for uh, dense storage, right? So this two kind of a node type we used to have earlier. So if you were using the Redshift earlier, so then you might already know if you have to add more storage, you will be adding more compute to it, even though you are not using it. Whereas in RA3 node type, what happened is that storage now is in S3. So it's not your regular S3 where you're able to just go and able to see all the files. This is being backed by S3, but this is your Amazon managed or Redshift managed storage, right? So uh, ideally it's like, okay, now with this you will be having your data that's being stored here, and then this data is being used by your producer. The same regard, this if you perform the data sharing with this consumer, the consumer able to perform the data read, right? So that's how the data sharing works. So we have this one shared storage which is being used by multiple uh, Redshift cluster, and if this Redshift cluster allow you to read the data which is being stored on its side of the storage, the other consumer able to read the data, right? So there is a no not much in terms of configuration changes. So now we have a fair understanding how it works. Let's go and understand the use cases, and that's where it's get interesting. So if you were, in before Redshift data sharing or before RA3, if you have to perform the, mm, let's say if you're looking to have a maintain the copy, or if you want to have a copy being shared if you're looking to have the data being shared, you have to perform either you will be unloading the data from your Redshift, storing in S3, and then sharing the data to other Redshift cluster, or you will be doing a snapshot and then you will be sharing that snapshot with others, right? So either in both the cases, it's always you are not getting the fresh data. It's always there going to be a delay because whatever time it takes you to unload the data from your Redshift and then move data to your different Redshift cluster, or whatever time it takes to perform the snapshot and then share the snapshot and restore the snapshot, right? So now in this one here, what will happening, as I said, like now data will be shared instantly because technically you are just not you're just letting other consumer to read the data. That's what you're doing, the data which is already being there. So this is interesting. So now here, so this is more kind of a, so as we talked, like there are going to be different use cases. First one is workload isolation, right? In a Redshift, in a data sharing, it's very what I've seen is like how people are using as a use case is more like workload isolation. So earlier you used to have a one cluster that is being shared by all kind of a different teams or business unit. Now with this one, you can have a one ETL cluster where you will be ingesting the data and you will be sharing the data with all other cluster. Now with the serverless, it gets even much more interesting because let's say you have your ETL cluster which is being, let's say, running 24 into 7, whereas you have your BI cluster which is being just used for during the business hour. Similarly, if you have a developer cluster, ad hoc cluster, or machine learning cluster, right, you're not using those cluster regularly, or you're just only using those cluster when and if needed. So in that case, you will be having one cluster where we'll be performing all kind of ETL, which is going to be uh, let's say always available, and this rest of the cluster is going to available when if and when needed. So this way you'll be saving a lot of cost. And earlier, if you have to do the same, like you have to have a big cluster which you will be sharing the resources through the WLM, which is workload management, to the multiple clusters. uh, the other is cross group collaboration. So one thing I forgot to share earlier is in a Redshift data sharing, your producer can be a consumer and your consumer can be a producer. What does it mean? Means your producer, the data which is being stored in producer can be consumed by the consumer. Similarly, consumer can be a producer and your previous producer consume the data from there. This is how it is being shown here. So you have an R&D data, you have a finance data, you have a sales data, and all of them acting as a producer and all of them acting as a consumer. So R&D data is being consumed by finance, R&D data is being consumed by sales, R&D data is being consumed by marketing, vice versa. Finance data is being consumed by R&D and sales and the marketing, right? So yeah, that's how the producer can become. And this is where I have seen there's a lot of interest too. This data and analytics as a service. So you can be a data producer and then you will be sharing the data to a multiple uh, you know you can share the data with your partners, you can share the data with the vendors, you can share the data with a different business unit itself. Now you will be maintaining the data, but you will be sharing the data and you have a full control, like who all you will be sharing the data to, what the granularity of the data look like, and if you decided not to share the data, you can just simply revoke the permission and this person should not have the data access to the data, right? So this is again very interesting, and I have seen like uh, Now Redshift, one more Redshift data sharing is being integrated with your with the Amazon Data Exchange itself. So you can have your data being shared on the uh, Amazon data exchange that can be consumed by external parties, right? So that is again very interesting use case. Other is of course this development agility, as I mentioned earlier, right? If you have to share earlier, if you have to share the data, either you will be unloading the data or you will be creating the snapshot. This remove that overhead of creating or unloading the data, being putting in S3, then loading the data, etc., etc. This reduce the overhead. Now you can simply able to share the data and all the data being available in everywhere. So production data can be available in test data can be available in production, vice versa, right? So that's how Redshift. That's what it is. Redshift data sharing. It's very nice feature is being there. So as I mentioned earlier, Redshift data sharing, you can able to do a data sharing within the same AWS account. You're able to do a Redshift data sharing with across AWS account. You're able to do a data sharing with across AWS region, and you're able to do a data sharing on AWS Data Exchange. Sorry, earlier I said Amazon Data Exchange. No, it's AWS Data Exchange, and you're able to recently this is being a new feature being announced during the reinvent. Now you're able to have the data sharing access control being governed using the lake formation. So maybe I will be building one more demo here how that work. But that's now like lake formation, which is a which service which allow you to do a central access control against all the data which you have in your data lake and now in your data share. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see how that works. So as I said earlier, right, it has a two it has a concept of producer and consumer, and apart from that, it has something called data share. So the data share is the one what you will be sharing, and then once that is being done, you will be adding your all you will adding tables and everything as such. So let's say I will be starting here. I will be calling it. Uh, the first step we'll be doing is we will be creating a data share in a producer cluster, right? So that's where I will be doing this is what we're talking here. So we will be creating, this is our producer cluster. So this where we will be doing creating a data share, and that data share is being shared being consumed by the consumers. So I will be calling it, let's say, new, right? Because I already had this demo being created. So I will be running this one here. So I will be creating the data share, and by the time the data share is being getting created, I will be just kind of showing you like, okay, what all I have here in this cluster. So I have this dev. Within the dev, we have this is a database. This is a schema, and within the schema, it looked like my AWS account is timed out. Let me quickly refresh it. Okay, so here in Redshift cluster, right, I have this many tables. This is my producer, and this is my and I have this view. Okay, so this is my producer cluster. I will be just run this query, and this get created, right. Now the next step is I will be adding this into the data share, right? So this is my data share name. I will be replacing this one, and I will be adding this data share to this public schema. Okay, so let's do this. So I just ran an alter, and this is being done. So as I said earlier, this is what I'm doing is I will be adding this. Uh, you can other thing is like, okay, means I have added this schema in a public. uh, you can in a data share, you're not only able to share tables, we also able to share the views. You're also able to share the materialized view, and you also able to share the SQL UDF. So it's just not the tables. Once done, now the next step is we have to add the tables and views into the data share. So what I will be doing is I will be just adding one table for time being, so I can show you, and then we can add rest of the stuff as well, right? So I have just added one table in the data share. So as of now, I just did is, hey, I have shown like, okay, I have created this data share here. I have added this data share to the public schema, and once that is being done, let me refresh it. Once that is being done, the next step is mm, the next step is to add the table. So that is being done as well. And now let's review by using some system tables and get an idea, okay, what all uh, how the like how our data shares look like. So if you see here, this is the data share name, and one other interesting thing is the share type, which is like outbound. So when I say that this is outbound, it means like, okay, this data is going from this producer, right? So this is what it is. In this one, it will show me the same thing, right? This both are show data shares, and this SVB data shares are the same query type, and this will giving me like, okay, what all tables is being added. So if I have to see on this one, this demo data share, so we have added this schema and we have added this table, right? So we have added this table to the public and schema, right? So this is there. Uh, okay, right. So and this is will give you like, okay, the like this is your consumer. So we have means I have run this in past, so I have few them, but not for we have recently created this where yeah this demo here, right? So we have demo new. So if you see here, we don't able to see any consumer being attached to this data share. So no, uh, this has been not being shared yet. So that's what we're looking to do. So next step will be, hey, once I'm done with adding into my data share all the tables and whatever tables I need, the next step is to grant access to the data share, right? So I'm just granting users access on this data share, and then this is the namespace, right? So you can get the namespace by running this select current namespace, and once you're running it, it will give you the namespace, and just copy this namespace from here, and provide into here. And once that is being done, right? So nice. Sorry. Thereafter, I have granted this new customer new demo. So now if I go and run this one and see what all consumer, I should able to see the third one as well. See here, now I'm able to see this third one. So what does it mean? It means I have created in a producer, I have shared one table, which is customer, right, to this data share. So and that's by my namespace. So this is my consumer. So if I go here in the consumer cluster, which is this is the consumer cluster I have, right? I should able to see that newly created newly created mm, uh, newly created data share. Hey, but why I'm not able to see here, right? And the reason being, we have created on a producer side, this we are producing, but we have not created a copy of the data to to means we have not created a copy of your data on the consumer side. So that's where, like, if let me quickly show you something other very interesting thing. So if I go here, I'm able to see the data share, right? This is the data share which we just have created. But if I just go and click into this data share, this is I see this is the consumer, right? But I have to, in order for me to use it, I have to create a local copy of it, right? So for that, what I will be doing is I will be creating a database, right? So, and I calling it custom new from the data share, and the data share name is, I believe this is what the name was, right? Right. So let me quick copy the name. Yes, the same name. So name and of namespace, and this is where you will be providing the producer name namespace. So just keep in mind, you have a in producer you will be providing, you will be sharing with the consumer, and on the consumer you will be adding your producer. So the data is being shared by the producer. So if I go here and just run this select um, select current namespace, it will be giving me the namespace, right? So I will be just copying this namespace here. Once done, let me go back and provide this the namespace to in a consumer. Once I'm provided this namespace in consumer, I will be uh, okay. So I provided this namespace here. Let me quickly run this query. So okay, fair enough. Now if I go back here and see, now be able to see this database here, right? So once I go here within this database, we have this public, and within the public, I should able to see one table, and this is the consumer table, right? So if I just go and run statement on the consumer, I should able to see I have this many records, right? So that's interesting. So if you write, that's how this data share works. So we have shared one table. Let me go back and in a producer and add these three more tables. And once done, if I'm coming back on a producer, see how instantly I got this actually it was two table and one view. So if you see here, I got two tables. I said recently added two tables and one view. So because this is what view, and if I have to add one more view, I can just simply go and add it. Just think of like how the data is instantly available for me to query on my consumer. I just add it here and then this is available. Boom. Now if I just simply go and run a query, maybe I just want to do a limit 20. So if I just simply go and run the data, run this query, that I should be giving this one here, right? My bad, I have to change the name. Anyways, so if I going and running this query here, boom. So you will be having this here. Uh, Other things which I was looking to share was which I didn't able to complete. If you have to, because I did not have an access to my AWS account to kind of build a marketplace. But the idea is like, okay, you're able to do a data share to your AWS Data Exchange. Once that is being done, if I just shared here, right? So if I just go to the data exchange, and if you see here, I will be sharing this order share, right? So and which is being shared to ADX. So I should able to see this order X there, this data share there. So if you see here, this is the order share. I'm able to see in ADX. Similarly, like now, once that is being done, you're able to create a product from your data. So remember, I told you right how you're able to build data as a service. So as I don't have access, so I'm not able to create it. But idea is once you're able to done registering, and then you're able to build, you will have this as a data share. So uh, my consumer able to consume the data and they able to kind of use it uh, for their own purposes. So I should be I can easily able to make a means I able to share the data and have this data being available either free of cost or with some some cost associated to it. with this. And also, like, if you're looking to do, let's say if you're looking to build cross high availability, also if you're looking to have a DR, etc., etc. So these are the good use cases for the data exchange. One thing which I was about to talk to you is, right, so when you work with the data sharing, is this is like there are a couple of limitations, right? So it does not support the store procedure and Python, and only use SQL. And for cross-account data sharing, both the producer and consumer cluster must be encrypted. These are the few, like, limitation you should aware of. And mm, do you what I was yeah, this is really good documentation. You should read about it. Then you will get lot of really good information about the data sharing. uh, okay, fair enough. So I think now you have a fair understanding how the Redshift data sharing works. Hopefully this video is useful. If you like the video, please do like, subscribe, comment to this video, so other people also should aware about uh, this demo. Okay, so thank you very much. Take care.